There are some days in history that belong to a single community. And there are some days in history that belong to the conscience of a nation. Juneteenth is one of those days. It is more than a date on a calendar, more than a celebration, more than a historical footnote tucked away in a textbook. Juneteenth is a reminder that freedom delayed is still injustice, a reminder that truth withheld still carries consequences, a reminder that even when laws change, hearts, systems, and opportunities often take much longer to follow. On June 19, 1865, more than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, enslaved African Americans in Galveston, Texas, finally learned they were free. Think about that for a moment. Imagine freedom already belonging to you, yet you don't know it exists. Imagine opportunity existing, yet access being denied. Imagine a promise made, but never delivered. That's not just Black history, that's human history. Because throughout time, people of every background have experienced moments when information was withheld, voices were ignored, dignity was denied, and humanity was overlooked. Juneteenth reminds us what happens when people are treated as less than equal. But it also reminds us of something even more powerful. It reminds us what happens when hope survives anyway. Because those who received that news in 1865 didn't simply celebrate freedom. No, they built families. They built churches. They built schools. They built businesses. They built communities. They built futures that many said would never exist. And that's why Juneteenth matters now. Not because it happened long ago, because its lessons are still standing in front of us right now, today. We live in a time when many people still feel unseen. Many seniors feel forgotten. Many families feel disconnected. Many communities feel divided. Many people wonder if anyone is listening. The details may be different, but the human need remains the same. People want dignity. People want opportunity. People still want to feel like they belong. People want to know their lives matter. That's why Collaborative Expansion Foundation exists today. Not to replace history, not to rewrite history, not to honor it, but to remember that progress has always happened when people choose connection over division, when people choose service over self-interest, when people choose to see value in one another. We stand here today because Juneteenth teaches us that freedom is not simply the absence of chains. Freedom is access. Freedom is education. Freedom is health. Freedom is food security. Freedom is economic opportunity. Freedom is being able to age with dignity. Freedom is knowing your children and grandchildren have a chance to thrive. Freedom is having a voice that is heard and a life that is valued. And at Collaborative Expansion Foundation, we believe that honoring Juneteenth means doing more than remembering. It means building stronger communities, building bridges between generations, building opportunities where none existed before, building relationships that create trust, building systems that leave no one behind. Because the story of Juneteenth is ultimately not about what was taken. It's about what people created despite what was taken. It's about resilience. It's about courage. It's about faith. It's about the extraordinary human ability to keep moving forward when every reason exists to stop. Today, we remember those who endured. We remember those who fought. We remember those who dreamed of a future they might not ever see. And we honor them by becoming the kind of people who continue their work. Not just for Black Americans, not just for one community, but for every community, for every senior, for every child, for every family, for every person who still believes that a better tomorrow is worth building today. Juneteenth reminds us where we have been. It challenges us to acknowledge where we are, and it calls us to decide where we're going. May we move forward together. May we listen more deeply. May we serve more faithfully. May we build more courageously. And may we never, ever forget that the greatest tribute we can offer to history is not simply remembering it. It is creating a future worthy of the sacrifices that made this day possible. That's the spirit of Juneteenth. That's the mission of Collaborative Expansion Foundation. And that's the work that continues today. So as we remember Juneteenth, we are reminded of the song that has carried generations through struggle, hope, faith, and triumph. Lift every voice and sing, often called the Black National Anthem, but it was never just a song, it was a declaration that even in the face of hardship, a people would continue to rise. A declaration that even when the road was difficult, faith would remain stronger than fear. A declaration that every voice matters, not just some, every voice matters. Its message is as relevant today as it was more than a century ago. Lift every voice and sing. Not because our stories are all the same, but because our futures are connected. Lift every voice and sing. Because freedom grows stronger when it is shared. Lift every voice and sing. Because communities become stronger when every generation has a seat at the table. And lift every voice and sing. Because the work of building a more just, compassionate, and united America belongs to all of us. So as we honor Juneteenth, may we hear those words not simply as a song from the past, but as a challenge for the future. To listen to one another, to learn from one another, to stand with one another, and to ensure that every voice has the opportunity to be heard, respected, and valued. I'm Moné Swann.
They built churches, built schools and communities strong, built businesses and opportunities, kept moving forward all along. What was denied could not define, and what was withheld could not erase the courage carried through the generations, the power of resilience and grace. When the road seemed long before them, they voice and sing. Let freedom's melody